stick. Broad daylight and we still hit licks. Rock 10 gold chains and you still ain't shit. Sip a little something bit, get a little lit. Just might go M. Night Shyamalan split.
Evolution. Now this right here is a funny concept. Just until a few years back, superbike manufacturers were chasing that golden 200 bhp figure, with every bike having a little more power than the next. But times are different today, considering we have something like this in our midst. Say hello to the Ducati Streetfighter V4 S, and this stonking motor here produces 205 bhp. And yes, you can see that correct, this doesn't have any fairing either. So what this essentially is a naked bike that can put many a superbike to shame. Welcome to our review of the Ducati Streetfighter V4 S, and before we tell you everything you need to know about the bike, like this video, share this video and click that bell icon to stay notified on all things thrill of riding. Hello, what?
So you finish your talking part till the time I'm enjoying my 205 bhp.
Well,
get a little ratchet. Hoes want cash or to get his hard dick. From that place where they move right bricks and the cops say hi with a damn nice stick. Broad daylight and we still.
Let me get right into the meat of the matter. This engine is the same engine as found on the Panigale V4 and is almost in the same state of tune. Though the outputs are slightly lower, but still a crazy 205 bhp. Yes, you heard that right, 205 bhp and 123 Newton meters of torque. That's more than some flagship superbikes out there. In terms of riding this bike, the electronics package is set up such, the ride-by-wire system is such that it is unlike Ducatis of the past. It's very easy to ride, it's very easy to extract all of that power, and your throttle responses translate very naturally. Now, you don't have a choppy throttle like you would on previous Ducatis, and neither is it harsh in terms of vibrations and refinement. It is staggering. It's surprising how refined this bike is. Yes, when you're at high speeds, your instrument cluster does vibrate a bit, but no uncomfortable vibrations on the foot pegs or the handlebar, and anything that will give you discomfort over a long course of riding. In terms of power modes, you have three primary power modes, that is street, sport and race. And trust me, in regular road conditions, unless you're out on a racetrack or on an open stretch of highway that you know completely, you're better off not touching the race mode at all, because in race mode, the electronics are set to intervene the least. The traction control is set to the lowest, wheelie control is set to the lowest, engine braking control is also set such that you get the most performance, and that is performance you don't really want on the street. Street mode is perfect. You get around 150 bhp, which is still crazy to begin with. You have enough power to do anything and everything you could possibly imagine doing on the streets. The engine now, despite being a high compression, high strung V4, is surprisingly tractable. You're not juddering, you can carry 30-40 in third gear. Fourth gear, that's asking a little too much, but even you're cruising around 70-80, fourth gear, no stress whatsoever. That's really staggering how far Ducati's engineering and research and development has come over the years. Gone are the days where your Ducati is this rattly, high-strung, mean machine that you need complete focus to ride. Don't get me wrong, you still need focus to ride this one. This can still do some mind-bending speeds. 299 kilometers per hour is the claimed top speed, and I completely trust that this will do that. Now, in terms of the gearbox, this is mated to a 6-speed gearbox, and this shifts with that quick shifter is slick. You can go up and down the gearbox, no stress whatsoever. Even at lower RPMs, it is buttery smooth. Definitely one of the best quick shifters I've used till date. Even the clutch action is not too hard. It is on the firmer side, but it's not uncomfortably so. Now, with great power comes great responsibility. Excuse the shoddy pun, but it is what it is. This is a stonking V4 motor, and to put all that in check and to be able to put the power down properly, you need a sorted chassis. And a sorted chassis this does have. Well, essentially this is a stripped out naked Panigale. So you have the same frame and suspension setup, and boy does it all work. The suspension setup, like this is the S variant, so you get Öhlins NIX 30 forks up front and a TTX 36 monoshock at the rear, both equipped with Öhlins Smart EC 2.0 system, meaning electronic damping. And the system works brilliantly. You won't believe it when I tell you, you really need to go out and ride this bike to understand what I'm saying. This bike, despite being a committed naked superbike, has the plusness that certain comfort-oriented bikes can't offer. On the way to the shoot location, we come from the highway where there are a lot of construction joints, especially on flyovers and all. On all other bikes, you feel a sharp thud when you go over them, especially at speed. On this, nothing. You wouldn't even realize you've gone over something. Small speed breakers, small potholes, it takes everything in its stride, not letting you know that you've gone over an undulation on the road. It just works that well. And apart from that, you also have a steering damper to keep this wheelie monster in check. Apart from that, you have Brembo Stilema calipers. I've said this before and I'll say it again, brakes aren't meant to be these good. You have stupendous amounts of bite and feedback, and all of which you can modulate at your will. Apart from that, the chassis setup, the frame is the same as the Panigale. It's stiff, it's taut, it's communicative, it tells you exactly what's going on below you, and that especially comes in handy in the corners, and that is where this bike shines. Show it a set of twisties and this angry face is grinning from ear to ear, so are you. Tip it into a corner with that massive 200 section wheel hugging the tarmac. These wheels are shod in Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa 2s and they offer great grip. We didn't really get to test it on the wet conditions, so I can't comment on that, but in the road conditions that we rode it in, I had zero complaints about mechanical grip. So yeah, in terms of cornering, it will hold the line, it will grab onto that line, hold you through it, and when you twist the throttle at the apex, it will catapult you into another dimension altogether. That's all a combination of this engine and this chassis. It is simply mind-blowing. You have to go and ride this to believe it. Now, in terms of features, you have everything that you would expect from any modern day Ducati or superbike for that matter. Wheelie control, launch control, slide control. So basically, if you're going into a corner and you're going in too hot, your rear tends to step out because of just how much sheer power is going to the rear wheel. You can control how much that happens just for sheer thrills that you get when you're sliding your rear wheel out maybe. Then you have cornering ABS, cornering traction control, all enabled by a lean sensitive IMU. Apart from that, you have engine braking control to set how much retardation you get from the engine alone. Now, all of these electronics and more are user customizable, or they also have their own profile based on which riding mode you're in. And this is all adjustable to different levels of intervention. So you can really fine-tune everything, and all the components tie in well together and each does their job really well to give you the experience you want when you're out riding your bike. And with something that has this mental level of performance, it's really nice to have that level of fine-tuning capability. Now, this entire interface comes together with a 5-inch color TFT display and the switchgear on the handlebar. The switchgear is fairly easy to operate, though it's not as straightforward as it is on the Multistrada V4 with that joystick, but it's still pretty straightforward. And the instrument cluster is a 5-inch color TFT display, which is crisp and very legible even under harsh sunlight or in dark conditions. And especially when you go into a dark condition, it switches to a nice black interface with a red tachometer that looks particularly sexy. Now, all this manic performance and rideability is also packaged in something that looks just as manic. If taking one look at this bike doesn't make you feel weak in your knees, you have some obscure sense in design, I'm sorry. You have this front end that's inspired by the Joker and this DRL that does resemble the Panigale, but at the same time it also lends the Streetfighter with an identity of its own. And this is flanked by those massive winglets that should ideally give you around 28 kilos of downforce when you're doing about 270 kilometers an hour. Now, that is a claim I don't personally want to test, especially on road conditions like ours. Now, moving behind, you have the full engine exposed in all its glory, that 1103cc engine just right there for you or the people around you to look at, and that's something I personally like. And apart from that, sans the fairing, what you essentially have is a Panigale V4, which is already a mesmerizing motorcycle to look at. So what's not to love? And especially in this dark stealth color scheme. Mwah. Alright, so time to sum up what I think about the Ducati Streetfighter V4 S. Well, it's a great put together package that does everything stupendously. It's a great street bike. It's a great bike for weekends. You can possibly even tour on it if you're willing to deal with a little discomfort. And in terms of a track tool, man, this will be one fun bike to ride on track, and you can properly put superbikes to shame. But great things come at a cost, and this has a heavy price tag. 24.4 lakhs to be precise for this dark stealth variant. And would I justify buying this? Well, if you want something that's going to give you a new slice of life, it's going to keep your heart pumping, you're going to get a new level of thrill every time you take it out of your garage, set that blood flowing, well, you definitely have a keeper here. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to the heart wants what the heart wants. And this heart right here definitely wants me one of these.
Sometimes I lose my mind, get a little ratchet. Hoes want cash or to get his hard dick. From that place where they move right bricks and the cops say hi with a damn nice stick. Broad daylight and we still hit licks. Rock 10 gold chains and you still ain't shit. Sip a little something, bitch, get a little lit. Just might go M. Night Shyamalan split. Brick a nigga, this is sticker. Send a shot, so you get the